This is the biggest opportunity that we've had to create a new market since 2007.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey, and there's a lot of talk right now about biofuels and bioenergy as it relates to the aviation industry, and I'm visiting with Matt Herman. Matt serves as the Senior Director of Renewable Products Marketing for the Iowa Soybean Association. And Matt, some big news just came out regarding the Iowa Soybean Association's involvement in a new alliance. It's really looking at moving bioenergy and biofuels into the aviation industry and beyond.
Yeah, we're really excited to be part of the Americans for Clean Aviation Fuel. So many of our listeners, our farmers, are probably aware of this growing trend for what's called sustainable aviation fuel, which is a catch-all bucket term for all these products that we're looking to try to put in the skies to replace fossil aviation fuel. And it's going to be a huge basket of products, from products made from soybean oil to corn to things that we haven't even created yet. And so knowing that there was this big need, there's a coalition of airlines, energy companies, seed technology companies. So common names that our farmers would know, like Corteva, Delta, Iowa Soybean Association, and ExxonMobil. We've really got this group together to catalyze the effort to push this forward. As you know, I think probably as many of our farmers know, this is a hot topic right now in state houses and frankly in the Capitol. And as we go into this election season, we want to make sure that political candidates, people running for office understand that this is a really important issue, not just for the airlines that are looking to decarbonize and meet these goals, but this is a huge opportunity for Iowa farmers and farmers all across the Midwest. And frankly, from my perspective, this is the biggest opportunity that we've had to create a new market since 2007, since the creation of the original renewable fuel standard.
Break it down for a soybean farmer. Why does the demand potential in the aviation industry, why should it matter to them as they think about demand pulls for the product and for the impact it may have on their bottom line?
I think there's two numbers that matter here. One is 30 and the other is 25. So 30. When an airline buys a plane, they expect that plane to fly for about 30 years. And when I heard from an airline CEO the other day, they said, not only do we expect that plane to fly for 30 years, we don't see an alternative to liquid petroleum fuels coming for 30 years. So for us, for our producers, our farmers, that means we have this market for at least 60 years is what the airline industry is expecting before they start to see alternatives. So that's one big thing I think we've got to think about. This is a market that's here, and it's a market that's going to take a long time for us to mature. The second part of this is 25. 25 billion gallons is how much aviation fuel the United States consumes alone. That seems like a lot, but if you put it in the global context, that's only about a quarter of global demand. So 25 billion gallons domestically, 100 billion gallons in total. Compare that to how much renewable fuel we actually make today. Between ethanol and biodiesel, we're maybe making about 18 billion gallons. So even if we put that all into the sky, we've still got a long way to go. We're going to need more feedstock. We're going to need farmers growing more soybeans, crops over the winter, things like that, to be able to just have enough raw material to start to displace that 25 billion gallons here, then ultimately that 100 billion gallons abroad.
Give us also an update, Matt, on just the state of the soybean processing industry here in Iowa. We've heard about new plants coming online. So quick status of the processing industry in Iowa, and what do you see over the next year or two?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of this run up in soybean processing and growth started even before these announcements for large-scale sustainable aviation fuel demand. Shell Rock Soy Processing was one of the first that was announced back in the spring of 2020, and it actually is complete. It took delivery of beans this fall and is operating and producing oil. There's another one that's been a greenfield build, Alta, Platinum Crush, and then we're going to have at least one expansion of, I believe, a Bunge processing plant in Council Bluffs. So that's just what's happening here in the state. I think our farmers should realize that there's such a demand for oil because it's the easiest product they make to turn into aviation fuel. So all things being equal, turning soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, these commodity oils into aviation fuel is the cheapest and easiest and most commercially available path we have to making those fuels today.
Very good. Well, thank you, Matt. And again, Another example as we come out of harvest about ways that we're focusing as an association on driving demand for the soybeans that farmers grow, whether it be the protein side and livestock, whether it be the oil side, in the growing opportunities on the biofuels front. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Aaron Pudsey.
Do you remember when you first believed that anything was possible? Do you remember when you had doubt? Obstacles you couldn't overcome? Do you remember when you pushed through the pain and refused to quit? Remember, He created you for this.